We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's gonna happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. The life we have chosen has prepared us for this. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disasters and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Well, hello and welcome back once again, everyone, to the Rally Cry Collegiate Series featuring Rocket League, presented by the Army National Guard. Welcome one and all to our 8th day in totality of competition, the 4th and final closed qualifier heading into the playoff bracket, and it is time for a championship Sunday of our own. My name is Galgan, alongside Relic as always, and Relic, we have 4 teams still vying for the crown here in this 4th weekend of play, but much more than that on the line, seeding towards that 16-team playoff bracket that is screaming down the tracks.
Are you strapped in, folks? Are you strapped in, Galgan? Most crucially, because we're going to break down some permutations here, folks. As it stands, the top 16 is locked in. What is this top 16, you say? Well, first of all, you clearly haven't been watching the Rally Cry Collegiate Series up until this point. Where have you been? But these 16 teams are going to be going at it for $6,000 of prize pool money. It's part of the $30,000 prize pool set towards the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, of course, not just based here in Rocket League, but all around the esports world. Counter-Strike 2, Madden College Championship, the heralded FGC scene featuring Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, and Tekken 7. But of course, we're here with Rocket League. We've had 3 weeks of full bracket. We're in the end of the 4th week now, and in theory, and I will put a massive asterisk on this, in theory, our 16 teams are locked in. So for the likes of Osu Grey, Drexel Dragons, Oakland University, and Terps Esports, today what matters is how far up the seeding you can place yourselves to hypothetically find yourself with an easier first matchup on that play-in bracket. Drexel Dragons actually fighting for the very top seed. Going into today, interestingly enough, they have exactly the same points total as UT Dallas, who were really one of the shock dropouts from the quarterfinal stage, along with Southern Miss Coca-Cola. But then it comes down to average placement. They've both won a week, so if, for example, Drexel makes it to the grand final, we don't have this conversation anymore because they've secured top spot. The best spot, of course, that you could get. It's like that big old Will Buxton Drive to Survive meme. Listen, if you start on pole position, you're starting at the front of the pack, or something super obvious like that. But what's not super obvious, Galgan, is scheduling. And some of these teams have got multiple things going on, as is the nature of Collegiate Rocket League. And so, although in theory, and this is where we come back to that asterisk, we have all 16 teams locked in, ready to go. That cannot change now. It might still. If a team decides that their priorities lie elsewhere, then for the likes of Michigan State White and for Northeastern, they're sitting on the periphery, ready to pick up the pieces and have a go at the playoff bracket themselves.
So let's let the playoffs be playoffs, shall we? And focus up on one of the semifinals we will watch for this 4th and final closed qualifier. You see the teams, Oakland University and the University of Maryland Terps Esports. You brought up a good point, though, when you were speaking about how there were some shock upsets yesterday during the competition. Terps Esports, by their own hand, were the undoing of UT Dallas in 6 games. You also mentioned Southern Miss Coca-Cola up on the top side of the bracket, taken out by Ohio State Gray. And I want to touch on them very quickly before we move into our featured matchup, because Ohio State Gray, they walk onto here. Before this, they had only played in week 3, where it was a 7-game loss to Drexel, who they find themselves up against again here in the semis. But all of a sudden, they walk up, they have a pretty confident sweep against UC Berkeley. They follow that up with a 7-game victory against a team who at that point had only lost to Oklahoma Christian and UT Dallas in Southern Miss Coca-Cola. Ohio State Gray is making a very strong case to try and unseat the last remaining past champion in this bracket in the Drexel Dragons. That semifinal should be close. This one that we're focusing up on here with Oakland and Terps, however, Oakland, they only played week 2 before this particular matchup right here. It was an immediate loss to UT Dallas. We know that Oakland has more within them. They have more to prove, more to show us, and this is the place to get it done.
They're going into today 10 points. Of course, they guarantee minimum 25. That puts them on the precipice of the top 8. Of course, naturally, going any further than the quarterfinals, or semi-finals, I should say, rather, means that you're guaranteed a grand final. And that's very much the difference between 25 points, maybe at worst, to at worst 60 points. And that really is the grand prize of everybody in this final 4. 60 points for second, 100 points for first, Galgan. It could be the difference between mid-table mediocrity, or mid-table madness, should we say, in terms of playoff matches, or indeed something a little, quote-unquote, easier than what they'd have to deal with otherwise.
And personally, I tend to make a lot of conversation off of past results. I think if you look at Terps Esports, who are making their 4th appearance here in the closed qualifiers, they played all 4. They feel like they were lacking those quality wins on their resume. They struggled against Oklahoma Christian in the first. They got swept by Pescados in the second, but they got a big win yesterday against UT Dallas. And what happens when you're hot to trot on the weekend all the way through? You keep it moving here. Terps Esports get up first.
It's a really nice, well-worked, simple goal. Good to see Hexa getting in and amongst them as well. The biggest question, I feel, on the heads, at the shoulders, other shampoo brands are available of Terps Esports, is quite simply, was it more them doing well that undid UT Dallas, or was it UT Dallas not doing well for themselves? It was definitely half of one and half of the other, or what sort of percentile are we actually talking about here? So far, so good. Haven't seen too much from Oakland University. This is their real first proper shot, but it was kind of a stumbling shot there. Easy enough for Hexy to save. Turf is going to bring it in field here. Helped out by Hexy, but Turf's got no boost to be able to follow up. Down the other side of the field, JD Knight's got this on lock.
Well, if anybody knows about the context of UT Dallas performing well, at least in the microcosm of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, it's Oakland done out by them in week 2. They find themselves on the back foot early on, have to be careful not to make too many shaky jumps, quick accusations, try to get the ball moving as consistently as they can, commit all of their heads and shoulders forward without forgetting the knees and toes. But a challenge here at the top of the box will slow down the push for Terps. They've still got a solid hold of the midfield line. Top Chetty, aka Peep, is going to try and, it's the complete name. I'm not going to go for the full thing because I have a feeling what it's implying. But at the end of the day, Peep, whatever makes you feel more confident.
It's sort of like changing the car, isn't it? If it's the same hitbox, does it really matter? Well, yes, it does, according to some. It's all about that placebo effect. On the rise now, Hexy, backboard, Whale, tries to bring it out from the back with very little boost. His Turtle wins the 50 and rides the second challenge pretty magnificently. That's a shot towards the net. Turtle doesn't even need to apply a finish. JD Knight puts them 2-0 up.
And this is a really big statement to make for Terps Esports, not just to convince us that they're here to play and make said statement, but you want to talk about roster changes, because it's a very decent point to bring up for Terps Esports. They've been shuffling things around as they've played the qualifiers. Boog, again, noticeably absent from the field. It's Turtle, JD Knight, and Hexy. On the other side, this is Whale out for Oakland University instead of Jay Wismont. We're unsure of the reason why, but perhaps a shakeup is what Oakland feel like they need to have a bit more success in these events. Although, on the other end, Terps Esports, they seem to have picked up right where they left off from yesterday's play, as confident as ever, and even the counters high up to the back wall can't get it done just yet.
Jay Wismont has had a very long career. I think he's very much allowed to take a day off. As here comes Pete. That is an open net freebie, 1-goal game.
Solid tap here. Played from the corner, defying expectations. Hexy, not a whole lot of places to play that ball. Had to go for the challenge, and it squeaks out, unfortunately. So that's one small misstep there for Terps Esports. They find a bit of reprieve, Oakland. They get a little bit closer. Still got time to tie it up, too.
So heading into the final 1¾ minutes. Oakland University. Slower start. 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Looking to raise their examination marks before the clock hits 0, though. Certainly in overtime wouldn't be too bad a situation to be in as Pete runs forward. Oh my goodness, uncontested. That could have been the potential equalizer they were looking for. Tysonic Boom gets a little too eager for his own good and ends up spurring this opportunity. Means that more precious seconds wasted off the clock here. And Oakland University now in the defensive. Well, they deal with that first attack pretty well. Now it's up in the air. Turtle's going to win the race to this one. But it's a relatively neutral challenge and it's back into blue hands.
Whole lot of whiffs, though, going both ways. Turtle tries to follow this ball from the side. Doesn't get it moving very quickly, but it's still a slow, staggered counter from Oakland. They're not going to control possession all the way through, but Turtle with another miss. Keep trying to follow up with a center pass. It's top of the box, but Tysonic Boom a bit too slow. Counter is open and available for Terps Esports, but they're happy to play it slow, take more time off the clock, make sure that Oakland can't formulate a push of their own, and when the ball's in the back of your net, there's nothing else he can do.
Game 1 has been Hexy's game, undoubtedly. Pete meandering, was always asking for trouble by spending so long in possession. Good challenge from Hexy. Falls kindly for Turtle, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time. The proper fox in the box. And that really should be it with just 30 seconds to go unless Oakland perform a miracle.
Sonic Boom will try to do just that. Quick flick to the near post could have solved all problems if not for the defense in the way and those meddling Terps Esports players, but they'll give a little assistance to Peep and they'll get him one step closer.
Oh, I feel a little bit, what's the right word? I was going to say epiphonic. I feel like that's just a word that I've made up to describe having an epiphany. Either way, epiphany has most certainly been had for Oakland University. I asked and I have received early goal. Now can they find that quick wham bam? It's Pete going top beans, not going to find it. The save from Turtle, helped out by Hexy, but both of them miss. Opportunity for Whale there to throw it forward again, but again, more time wasted here. Benefits Terps Esports. Sideways, not really out and about, but there it is downfield. They had to send it high with the press. Oakland University, they get caught out, and this one is finally sewn up for Terps.
Terps Esports singing wham bam shang-a-lang high to the hills. They'll take this game 1 in due time. It's a well-deserved victory for them. I think coming into this, Oakland University are joining, you know, just by name alone, the ranks of some of the other teams in this competition, you know, the Maryville, Boise State, teams that you expect to perform well before you've even seen them turn the game on. And yet, that expectation is something that Terps Esports and other teams in this competition have really shown up to try and break down. I think that's one of the best facets of collegiate play, especially outside of the top echelon, is you get all these teams that they know maybe all of their students aren't on full scholarships. Maybe they don't have the same level of commitments as the Northwoods and the Fishers and the Cumberlands out there that are just building monster project rosters, but they are hungry as ever to make these big moves, not trying to put away Maryland here and say that they're an inferior program. They've certainly done a great job putting this team together, but at the same time, it's really nice to see this shakeup of expectations. You know, you go in thinking this is how the series should look on paper, and then the practice provides you anything but what you expect.
Oh, you know me, Galgan. I do love me some historical data. It's always nice to build up the story of a series, but it's almost like we're setting ourselves up for failure, to be honest, because we almost want the history books to be rewritten. It shows that, you know, the realm of Rocket League, whether it's a collegiate or championship series level, is a fluid one. It's a malleable one. Nobody can ever stay too safe. And I think if you want a really high-profile example of that, just take a look at Team Vitality over in the European region. Everyone was calling them invincible, and they were for a few months. Crucial few months, got them a world championship, but still they struggle coming into this particular season, and it's because the game around them continues to evolve. And that's what we're seeing here. Oakland University, in the context of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, they're a one-week wonder right now. They've only put 10 points up on the board, and that's the first goal on the board here in game number 2. Excellent punish, the pop-up, the demo, and Tysonic Boom on target. Terps Esports caught out at the back. Great opener here for Oakland University.
Really makes me reminiscent of yesterday's play where kickoff sequences were paramount, and I back Oakland to continue to try and generate early chances. Only takes them 6 seconds for the first here. They want another one as Whale goes off the back wall, but Turtle with an early jump, and look at the quick break the other way. Redirect was needed because Tysonic Boom got there in time. That's an opportunity you have to close up for Maryland, and Whale's going to try and punish back the other way. Beautiful self-dish, but just a bit too wide.
Oh, the impossible angle. We're talking about probabilities now. Oh, but the only mathematics that Terps need is how to be able to score a goal and count how many folks are actually up with you in the attack. It's twice now where they've been unaware of Oakland's positioning, and defensively that's helped Oakland because it's enabled them to counter-attack with real force and vigor. And but for, well, you know, again, angles, get the protractor out, they have been denied here, but I'm really impressed here. First minute gone, Oakland easily on top.
And it's because they're getting faster, getting to the ball when they need to, taking touches that, yes, they're stretching for a bit, but that's the kind of performance that's going to throw Maryland off their mark, although Pete a bit ambitious on the pre-jump. Tysonic Boom will try to keep it alive. Whale bumped out of the corner. Another bump run on the goal line, but Terps Esports can't formulate the counter well enough. So it comes right back for Oakland. Off the ground goes Tysonic Boom, gets one to go, can't up the second, and both teams are doing an excellent job of making the initial jump into the offensive zone a threatening one. Who's going to have the sustained level of pressure, though, because neither team can hold on to it for too long right now.
Oh, and check this as well. I didn't pick up on it first time around, but Tysonic Boom rocking an orange decal. Again, how much is Might and Games at play in Collegiate? We've been talking about grass boost, we've been talking about mean vehicles, but that's a great shot, and it's an even better save to meet it. Tysonic Boom taking out the equation. It's another shot going for the top beans. It's Wales again, who gets an awkward touch, but it's off their own bar, I should say. And so that's not really helped out Terps Esport on this one, because they weren't expecting where the ball was going to go as well. Here's Pete with no boost, buying so much time for his team. They both pop up here. Whale, two-side Sonic Boom. That was a little too closely guarded, and Terps can run downfield, but it's an easy save for Pete. Never mind. Quick round the corner. Oh, Whale again.
Quick scramble here for Oakland University, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Tysonic Boom decal, I think that's the Netherlands World Cup kit, I believe.
Is it really?
If it is, I fully excuse the orange decal on a blue team because Netherlands have the best Eurovision song heading into this year. That's my personal opinion. Don't flame me for that, but listen, we'll move on from that quickly because, you know, this is America. This is North America. Who needs Eurovision? We got the best music anyway, and we got the best Rocket League. 2 minutes to go. This is what you want to be tuned into. Terps Esports, they've been fighting, clawing to get some form of offensive possession as JD Knight taps up, but these touches that they're taking, not optimal, and you can see how quickly it forces them to retreat. Tysonic Boom following through, but no real punch for Oakland.
You are spot on. That is most certainly the Netherlands decal. Also, just if anyone's interested, if you haven't watched Eurovision before, it's a great opportunity to laugh at the United Kingdom. What more excuse do you need? Great shot. Pete puts Oakland 2-0 up. And Terps, I mean, they've huffed and they've puffed, but I tell you what, this straw house of Oakland ain't falling down just yet.
Certainly strong when they get to the top of the box. You have to back that the opportunity's coming soon, and quick, neat passing plays. They make very quick work of putting the ball on target. I mentioned it earlier. Both teams are doing a solid job of punching early, but who's going to have that sustained pressure? Oakland right now have been doing a much better job in that department.
So, his Whale. People jumps, to be fair. It scares the living daylights out of Hexy. Sets up for the Whale shot. 3-0. Easy.
Easy as can be. It's the mere presence of what could happen. And finding the touch is just icing on the cake, but sometimes you just have to instill in your opponents, you know, you better make the touch of your life, because if you don't, I'm going to do something. Even if I don't hit the ball, I'm just going to mentally wear you down. And if that's Peep's playstyle, it's certainly working right now as Terps have to try and pull out some heroics from Hexy just to get one on the board.
Oakland's defense has been the big difference maker. It's frustrated Terps, and it's opened up passing lanes, which previously were, well, locked off, but they found the key, Oakland, down the other side. I mean, listen, speaking of QK European TV, it most certainly is the peep show right now for Oakland University. Whether he's indirectly or directly involved, Terps Esports have all of their eyes on there. That's a brilliant job, but speak of the devil.
No matter how much Hexy could do, Peep stands in the way. It seems like that's going to carry Oakland through into a Game 2 victory. You've got to expect something like this out of a series between these two, right? There's no way Oakland are going to go quietly into the night. They're going to hopefully grab a fourth, and the upset right off of the defender. Tysonic Boom notches it.
That's such a nasty slicer, and you can tell that coming into view there, Turtle knows that he's not punched the brakes early enough, and so it's a glancing attempt at a save. Is this now flattering Oakland University? Yeah, maybe, but I think that the performance should be applauded nevertheless, Galgan. Far improved above what we saw, especially defensively. Case in point there, Pete with another big save. It's not often you will say this within the microcosm of 5 minutes. Terps are held to a clean sheet. What a response from Oakland.
And I think that's the key to this series right now, because if you want to talk about precedent for Terps esports and how they played yesterday compared to how they want to continue playing today, they won that series, Terps esports, against UT Dallas, not necessarily offensively. I believe it was UT Dallas putting up over 60 shots on target and well eclipsing the University of Maryland, and yet they still were able to grind that out in 6 games. So it's somewhat clear to me that Terps esports, their path forward in this series is not going to be shot after shot after shot after shot. They want to be as clinical as possible. If Oakland has strong defense like they do here in Game 2 continuously over the course of a series, this ends much faster than Maryland wants it to.
I apologize. I was checking my notes from yesterday. You might remember that Terps had nowhere near. I mean, you're right to point out the 60 shots, but it was the shot conversion from Terps that was even more impressive. They converted 39.5% of their shots on target, which that might sound weird or a little low to people who are like, oh, surely you should be converting all it. Like, no, the usual conversion rate is maybe at best 25, and that's considered a good day at the office. So to get 39.5% is actually incredible, but it also does speak to the issue that Terps have, which is still that chance-generating rotation. They are a little slow sometimes to react. Their transitional play was really good yesterday, but it also feels inconsistent overall when you sort of compare it against previous performances. So the opportunities were always there for Oakland to go out there and find some joy for themselves. They have done to great effect. Let's see just how adaptable this Terps roster is now, because they're sitting there just outside of the leading group points-wise. They have to make it to the grand final if they want to overtake any of the folks ahead.
Adaptability is exactly where I'm focused up as well for Terps esports, because if you picture all 3 of these players with a slider of sorts between not feeling it on offense and having an absolute field day in terms of scoring efficiency, yes, you'd like all 3 of them to be as high up as possible. That's a perfect sense of play. For Terps esports, in the games that they end up winning convincingly, the sliders are kind of all over the place, but one of the people on this team that absolutely has to have it turned on is Turtle. This is a sign that they may be back.
Such a clean connection, the setup sublime. Pete had absolutely no chance, because even though they're in the right place to jump, get the boost up to go for that save, it simply takes too long. Such power was generated in that ultimate shot. A fantastic follow-up here as well. Tysonic Boom at least gets a piece of it. Away it goes. 100 steal as Hexy looks to rotate out. Tysonic Boom receives the play. Turtle intercepts. Good disruption. JD Knight now with 100. Works his way around Pete, but there's Whale. Midfield line. Stops it. Recycles it to Tysonic Boom perfectly. But they're sort of going sideways, a little bit forward, but not forward with enough pace as of yet. Galgan, I'll hold that thought, because maybe here, no. JD Knight, yes. Tysonic Boom backboard. Turtle away to the side. Watch out, the siege continues.
Whole lot of yeses and nos, but no decisive factor just yet for Oakland to tie this one up. Still early goings, but Terps esports stand tall. And here's Turtle again to try and close up a second. It goes off the post. JD Knight to recycle this one back in center. Take the shot himself. And Whale with a huge save. Miss off the side. Challenge with Turtle for another. And Terps esports try to continue this hold.
They're into the retreat and they give it up to Oakland. It's Peep who tries to bait out 1-2 defenders. Still dangerous. Oh my goodness. Well, must have thought the Heat scored, but for the post that came to the rescue. Hexy, full transition, full 3v1. Big save Peep. It's not enough. 2-0 Terps.
Simply teasing all of Oakland. The ball's right there. Clear it aside, but you threw everything to the first save, and Hexy dribbles that one in support of the whole team coming in line. The Terps Esports grab 2 on the trot.
Very strange, isn't it? It's a big pendulum swing from last game. Not to say that Oakland are playing any worse than they did in game number 2, but again, we ask for that Terps adaptability. Where is it? And we are seeing it in spades. So clinical down the other side of the pitch. It's almost like we know what we are talking about and what we have seen before, Galgan.
It really does feel like more of a return to the familiar Terps Esports winning side, because the point that I was getting at right as Turtle scored the opening goal is that if Terps Esports are playing well, Turtle is going to be the initiator, the mastermind of sorts for the team, and Hexy and JD Knight do an excellent job in supporting roles. They can do it all themselves if needed, but Turtle feels like the prime source of inspiration for this University of Maryland team. When they get stuck in the corner like this, though, there's really not much you can recover from.
Stuck in the corner really is the big descriptor here. Turtle simply has to do better in what is admittedly a difficult situation, but rather than going for the sort of mid-hit back to the corner, they got to try and keep the ball closer to the car, which again is a difficult skill. But when we're talking about some of the top collegiate teams, you simply got to do it. But immediately, as soon as they get pegged back one, excellent kickoff. Whale doesn't really do well with this, spikes it up. It's the perfect setup for JD Knight, who has the entire goal at his mercy to shoot at. 2-goal lead re-established.
You want to talk about forming habits. You give JD Knight the ball on the right side of the net, it's going on target. 2 consistently has that happened. Big challenge there from Whale. Hexy registers a save. So again, it's Oakland threatening immediately off the kickoff, but a nice jump from Hexy. Turtles forward and backflips. It almost didn't matter, but Tysonic Boom came over the top to get that save. It's JD Knight just lining that one up. Hexy for the follow through. So many chances for Terps Esports to notch one more. They're not comfortable with a 2-goal lead. They want to run it up.
As good as Turtle is, he does require boost to do some of the more fantastical stuff, and just didn't have anything in the tank to work with on that particular play. But we're 10-20 seconds on from that now, and Terps Esports really haven't lost their stride. Oakland University struggling to escape their own half. Case in point, it's another setup, and Peep is completely misstepped here. Hexy with a 4, and now it's a long way back for Oakland University.
And this is why I feel like this series is just entering the twilight zone. We get to this stage where both teams are either having a game that's completely on or completely off, and you really struggle to decide who's going to move forward, especially considering the fact that we've got at least, 2 or 3 games after this. If things continue on, you expect it to go even farther, but Oakland have not shown the same characteristics that they had just about 10 minutes ago. It's really starting to slow down. The collaborative effort's not quite present. Terps Esports are ready to run wherever they need with the ball in their hands and not really worry about losing possession for too long.
Well, 4-line is the current scoreline. 4-1 is the series scoreline for our other semi-final. And Drexel Dragons are the ones who have won it, therefore guaranteeing top spot in the seeding. Terps Esports want to join them in that top 5, Galgan. And speaking of 5, well, here's a 5th.
It's evident. It's very, very evident that they want this matchup against Drexel again. If you remember, last weekend, that semifinal turned grand final went 7 games, and Terps Esports were on the losing end. They would love nothing more than to do right by that missed result. Players box each other out all the way up the sidewall. I mean, this game is over. Let's get it absolutely straight. Terps Esports have taken the series lead with 15 seconds to go. The rest is just a formality.
Well, certainly, but is it going to continue this form? Terps win, Oakland win, Terps win, Oakland win, because if so, Galgan, that's terrible news for Oakland. We've already got the ending of the story spoiled for us.
If only this series was a best of 6 and tying meant that they could both play against Drexel Dragons 6v3 and both, I guess, split the points, which wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense since Drexel would get 60 and then both teams would end up getting 50 by the split. So I'm going to try not to think about that too hard. But at the very end of it, I think it's somewhat of a good sign for Oakland. Maybe if we are going to seesaw like this, get some momentum back. I think this particular loss is more of a defeating one than previously in this series because it really just felt like they weren't there, right? We said that the key was going to be a clinical defense against Terps Esports' desire to play a clinical offense, but Maryland just put up 6 against you, and it didn't look like they were particularly stressing to score those goals. That's not really the sign of a defense, faltering a little bit. It's kind of the sign of a defense forgetting to show up.
Yeah, I'm getting my John Travolta gifs out again because I'm looking around for the defense, which I saw in game number 2, and I can't see it anywhere. I do feel like we've got to give Terps great credit because we literally said, what was really good about them in the series yesterday was they're super clinical. And they were really, really clinical in this game. Every single time that they came forward, they carried with them a threat, but they looked more threatening because of their opponents taking their foot off the proverbial gas a little bit. Their rotations were a little bit so-so. They were losing their 100 boosts a little more frequently. So whether that leads to a change up to be a little bit more combative, try and look for those bumps and demos to give themselves the breathing room defensively to just reset and go again, I don't know. Again, I'm not the coach here, but I think that regaining control over the midfield is an important next step to ensure that they do find a win here in game number 4.
Really do want Oakland to establish themselves, get some more possession control over, but Tysonic Boom demoed, and another challenge from the back wall. Well, certainly not going to make it any easier. Hexy just kind of threatens the flip reset, may not have had it, but plays it low anyway. It's a nice block from Pete to at least block this ball back out to the midfield line. So ruminations of the midfield presence coming back for Oakland, but they're still shoved a bit too far back into that blue zone for anyone's liking. Now taking a step forward is Pete, but it's Tysonic Boom removed again. They struggle to formulate that push, and Hexy going forward can't get it off the back wall, so people try and play it clean.
Pete's going to chase and find no success. Back to Whale. Not a great first touch, is it? Challenged. The Tysonic Boom, well, it was there, but he completely fluffed the shot. Hexy doesn't shot on target. Pete with the save. Rotates back out to Whale. No harm, no foul. JD Knight with the pinch off the back. He heads to Turtle, but can't really do much with that. Tysonic Boom with a 180 turn. JD Knight's back in town to make whatever save comes of this, but Tysonic Boom is just taking it sideways and hand it over to the enemy anyway.
Turtle has to forego. Hexy has to sit back down, and JD Knight will take over responsibilities. Good challenge, but Whale's already forward in the zone. Off the back wall, 1-2-1. It's going to the top corner, but a bit of help from the post and teammates. And now on the counter, Whale has to scramble for the first save again. Terps Esports putting the ball on target as quickly as possible. Can Oakland do the same? They're shut out. They've left the back line open, and it's Whale again who needs to dissuade this ball away from the target. So many rotations here for Oakland University are ending up with an anchor point on one specific player every single time. I feel like I've seen Whale playing the most defensively of all three. Who's going to take that step forward conversely and try and get Oakland going on the offensive side?
They're having to cover each other's shadows because they keep on getting demoed. Terps Esports listened to the Relic Advice Corner TM and decided, actually, you know what, that's a really good idea. Let's do that ourselves, and it's working out so well for them. Admittedly, without any fruit when it comes to the goals, and I think it's quite surprising to say as we head towards halftime, still 0-0. The fair play, because Oakland University, they've just rode that wave. They've gone all Kakuna, that's a Pokemon. They've gone all Kahuna on us, and they're saying Hawaii to a goal. It's 1-0.
Simply able to thrive in the chaos. Forced to the corner, take the challenge, win it outright, and you've got your goal. Surefire opportunity for Oakland University, just about halfway through. Gonna be feeling decent at this point. You know you're down in the series, but you can't stress it too much. If Terps Esports are gonna let off the gas a little bit. You've got to step on it in comparison. And here's Turtle to try and rectify it, but sends it just a bit too far off the top of the box. Keep is screaming back the other way and forces Hexy into action early, but it's another corner challenge that ends up in the center of the target. Whale trying to put this back against two defenders who are scrambled to try and meet that test.
Terps are frustrated. They have been the better team for the lion's share of this game, and yet to go 1-0 down, and you've got to say, you know, fair play, Oakland University, you really absorbed the pressure mighty fine. No press of the nuclear button just yet. Everything is nice and cool. But in the opposite camp, Terps Esports, you can see now a bit frazzled, struggling to get out of their own half. Oakland vibing with confidence, and although this is a good clearance, it's eaten up by Tysonic Boom. The chase is too late, and before you know it, a challenge sees the ball right back in the orange half.
Everyone moving backwards. It's Turtle first up. Solid challenge. Not a whole lot of boost, but still going hypersonic. Grabs the demo. Looking for a center. Has JD Knight at the top of the box. Lets the ball go. Oh, it still almost works out if JD just got it a bit further to the left. That ball was as good as scored. Now Oakland walk it the other way. That's a good challenge set up for people. Gets it to Tysonic Boom. Crossbar though, too many Terps waiting. Save that ball aside. Whale recycles but misses. We go back again to midfield presence. It's not enough just to be there. You've got to take the ball with you.
Really smart 1v1 play by Peep here, though. Continues to drive directly at whoever's in front of them, and it leaves who's ever in front of them with a choice. You either back up and prioritize position, but give up any hope of trying to wrestle the ball away, or you go in for the 50, of which you're already on the back foot, you're already at a disadvantage. It's so smart. It wastes more time off the clock. And speaking of, there's just 30 seconds left to find an equalizer, or alternatively to find a second to put this one to bed.
People try to do just that. Sent to Tysonic Boom, who beams it back to the corner that it came from. Keep has another chance. Gets beat by Turtle early on. Whale for the challenge. Wins it somewhat outright, 60-40, you'd say. Tysonic Boom sends to an open frame, and Whale redirects it high. You can see the vision, and it's just keeping the ball away, prolonging the last push. The Terps Esports 2 jump, 1 goes. It's Hexy. No time on the clock. It's sent to the goal line, but a few meters short. And we're all square, headed to game 5.
There was an entire apartment block in front of them as well, so they probably wouldn't have been able to score anyway. Yo, whenever Oakland win, they get a clean sheet. That seems to be the general idea behind the Oakland performance. Get ahead and then just don't lose any goals. And I think, again, part of what I like about this team is their ability to go head-to-head into the 50s without any fear. I think Terps are definitely still on, you know, that sort of like that pulse meter where they have their peaks, they have their troughs. It's a weird hand motion. It's very engaging, isn't it? You can definitely just get completely distracted. ADHD going off the scales. Anyway, my point being, I think that quite conversely to Terps, they've actually stuck to their own methodology. It didn't work in game number 1. It didn't work in game number 3. But when they're on it, when it all clicks, it is arguably the strategy that works the best out of anything that we've seen on the field before. But it's 50-50 right now. We need to start seeing them churn out these as consistent performances.
I know, I wish we just had that level of confidence that these teams have when they win these games carry over into the very next game, because it well and truly feels like, you know, in these winning games, we've seen so many challenges go the way of whoever squeaks out the win, especially in that last one. A lot of the touches taken at midfield. I mean, earlier on in the series, teams were just kind of getting warmed up into it. Players maybe were a bit slow to get going. We saw a couple more whiffs. Now, these challenges in the middle of the field, you start to get the feeling that the team who ends up winning the game wins those midfield challenges about 60-40, maybe 70-30 even. And it may not immediately result in that scoring chance, but it's just something in the air, something not quite as tangible as a goal being scored, but it's still something to latch on for these teams. Try and continue that level of confidence from the midfield forward into the zone and execute on your game plan.
Totally, and I really should have prefaced this with, again, Terps were absolutely the best team for the opening 2 minutes of that last game. But as soon as they go behind, it almost feels like it's a complete turnabout. They just cannot get anything on target, And by the time that they do, Oakland University are putting up the defensive bastions, and they have no problems with it. Case in point there, good shot opportunity. This time, at least, Hexy is in the way. It seems that Terps Esports, when they are really rolling, it's super difficult to stop them. But it's about finding that purchase in the ground, finding that anchor to hold on to, which really is the troublesome bit. And that's early to mid-game. The longer it goes on, the longer those nerves are frayed.
This is a sequence, though. I'd really like to see Oakland University get closer to scoring. It's cleared past the midfield line. That all started with JD Knight being stranded and forced to take a challenge at one boost in the tank. But now Turtle, a double off the ceiling, sets up well for JD Knight to send a laser again from the right side. Hexy jumps up in support, try and keep this ball alive deep in the Oakland zone. Pete can't do much against that follow-up push. It's passed right out to JD Knight, but Tysonic Boom racing through, double commit on the shot, and they send it wide. Seems like full control for Oakland in the corner if they can wrangle it. Keep trying to do just that. Everybody's stuck again from Terps Esports. Where have I seen this before? Hexy, though, makes sure that it at least gets back out to midfield as everybody kind of resets.
I love this from Whale. Oh, I really like this from Whale. With no boost, hopes and a dream, manages to get to the backboard and buys more time for the team to just work on that boost harvesting, my goodness, harboring / harvesting. There you go, put your teeth in Relic. Heading to half time at 0-0 yet again. Quick turn, peep far post. Save for the cameras from Hexy, but Tysonic Boom on the scene sets it up for Whale. Important touch there from Hexy off the backboard. Tysonic Boom turns, gets the shot away. It's going to go sideways thanks to the big interception. Hexy, once again on this backboard, has to go for the shortcut. Almost a setup for Whale. Tysonic Boom, now look at this encroaching continually on enemy territory. It's more like a battle royale at this point, with the ring enclosing on your position, Terps.
Exactly what we wanted, though, out of either of these teams, and Oakland finally delivering consistent offensive pressure. All they need is the goal to seal the deal, but they can't find it. Midfield line, Turtle gets some control, but Demo removed away. Here's Whale's opportunity to get it back into Oakland hands, but broken up by Hexy. Almost the self-dish out of the corner. Can't quite get there in time. Delayed and dealt with out center for Hexy again. Redemption, a chance to go up for the air dribble, tries to play it low, but had two in the way. Little chance to score, and JD sends the challenge wide. The Terps Esports try their hand at the offensive long-term stay. This one floats all the way to Tysonic Boom at the bottom of the box.
It's so important for Terps to just take a wider perspective on things, Galgan, because again, they're continuing to double commit, really. This last 30 seconds looking a lot better, but they've still had to give up a little bit of possession. Hexy was awfully isolated there. Tysonic Boom choosing not to go for the bump could have been a different story had they. Breakout here for Turtle. JD Knight not going to be able to deny Tysonic Boom another search forward. Hexy with the flip up. Hexy being crucial in the defensive phases of this game right now. That's dangerous. That's nasty. Turtle can't deal with it. Nobody can. Tysonic Boom can't put it on target either. Near post. Saved by JD Knight. Tysonic Boom goes for another pass in field. The setup for Whale. Stopped by Hexy. Here's JD Knight who's going to be dunked on by Whale. On target. Turtle with heroics put on the game. Why don't you? Oh, Terps Esports living perilously.
You'd think they'd be down by 5 at this stage, but still tied with 40 to go. Scoreless affair. Tysonic Boom. Challenge jumps for early, and Hexy tries to squeak it out. Deep goes all the way across to give a better stance for Oakland. Force everybody from Terps to one direction, then run it against the grain, but Hexy able to get a clear out. Terps Esports have not had the better look at too many offensive chances, and JD Knight just has to delay on the touch here. Now a miss by 2. Turtle wants to go center, may take the shot himself.
Beautiful.
It does! It's a beam to the bar!
Oh, it was going to be a one-goal game, wasn't it? And it needed a moment of pure quality, Galgan. Great work to fish that ball out from a dangerous position. Oakland had sent 2 forward. It was a great clearance as well, let's not forget, from Pete. But in that moment where everything was looking like it was heading towards overtime, it just took one man with a clear head to make the difference. And let's see whether they can hold on now, because Oakland are going to give it a good go. Oh, rattles the it's the middle part between the post and the bar. Hits the ground, no. Tysonic Boom keeps it up, but Peep isn't in the best situation here. Pop up, Whale, great challenge from Hexy. Tysonic Boom chases but misses the ball. The form book continues. Match point, Terps.
absolute insanity. There are few words that I can find other than just the capitulation that this felt like Oakland's game to win.
Yeah.
So many chances over and over. I have been asking both of these teams where their consistent offensive pressure is, and Oakland brought it. Shot after shot, midfield hold. They checked off all the boxes except for the one that wins you the game of Rocket League. And Terps Esports took full advantage. Credit where credit is due. They had their golden opportunity. They scored. They're headed to a double match point. So you have to tip your hats to them. But at the same time, Oakland, man, something about how they're playing right now does not feel characteristic. And whether or not that's Terps Esports continuing to confuse their opposition like they did yesterday against UT Dallas, or if it's, a case of Oakland just not quite being on it on this particular day, something's got to give. Some level of efficiency and clinicality has got to show up. And maybe what it takes from Oakland is ripping a page out of Maryland's playbook.
You could call that plagiarism.
Thanks for the save. Yeah.
You're very welcome. No worries at all. I actually really liked how Terps were playing, though. Admittedly, I think you're absolutely spot on. I'm looking at this team in blue, and I'm thinking, still, where are the bumps? Where are the demos? Where are the forceful actions to break open the defense? Because right now you've got JD Knight making some brilliant 50s. You've got Hexy, who's completely given up on going forward and is making some wonderful saves. And you've got Turtle, who, as we highlighted earlier, has the quality day in, day out to make those series-changing plays. As we saw here, Terps Esports now one game away from locking in the minimum of 60 points. That is, quite frankly, disgusting from Whale. It's nonchalant, it's pedestrian, but you've got to accept when it's ingenuity as well.
Let's just go to game 7. Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, because Terps are going to score. They
Exactly.
only win by clean sheets. Yeah.
That's the thing. As soon as Oakland, decide that they want to win a game, they don't allow Maryland to score. So I think we can stop the count now. It's not like Maryland are going to find a goal. Now watch them do so within a relatively short time frame. Nice demo onto Whale. He has to do a whole lot of work to clear this away, but doing a whole lot of work is definitely something that he's comfortable doing at any given time. Whale with an early jump. And Oakland is trying to feel comfortable right now. They know they need to grind this out for game 7. They need to lock themselves in, play as calm, cool, and collected as they can. Maryland, on the other hand, are going to try and stretch out the rotation as much as they can.
Terps forward with Turtle. Look at that infield pass. And it ends up being a huge challenge that goes negatively for them. Whale can't latch onto it, not as much as he would have wanted to anyway. They set up a peep on target, save. Whale runs, goes for the fake. JD Knight having none of it. Oh, wow! Off the line from Turtle and away again with the on-rushing. I think that was Tysonic Boom coming in with that brand new optic decal. Hexy now makes the save as well. Knock, knock. Goes Oakland University. Open the door for us, or we're going to smash it in ourselves.
As much as of a scramble that play looks like, and you could forget it and try and move on quickly, that is critical for Maryland. If they concede there, the mental starts to slip a little bit more. They start to think about game 7 a little bit more, but they know that they are still contending for this win. Nice rotation, control the ball, set up the play that you want. It's a pass to Hexy off the sidewall, who grabs it from the corner, but Peep reads it very well to get a second touch all the way aired out down the center of the field. Tysonic Boom follows as well, and Peep going for the shot from the corner. Good read by JD Knight on the save. What a goal that would have been as Oakland looked for their second.
Yeah, Peep was looking to scoop that central again. Tysonic Boom simply not onto it, but that's a big overcommitment now. Turtle's gone sideways, perhaps bought a little bit too much time for Oakland to retreat, and indeed so that is what has been the case. But JD Knight allowed a free shot opportunity, follow-up. Oh, they were asking for trouble, Oakland University. The clean sheet record broken.
You want to talk about clinicality? JD Knight may have missed early, but Hexy on the fadeaway there, rushing to the corner. Sends it to the top on the near side, no chance. Halfway through, Terps Esports, do they end up losing a game that they've scored in? Or is the series and the curse of going back and forth in games being traded finally being broken?
Doctor, we've got a pulse. I repeat, we've got a pulse. but that pulse has very quickly just lessened ever so slightly. Again, great challenge, great pressure from Oakland University, but it's the double commit, the most egregious of the actions in this phase of play. Freebie for Tysonic Boom, 2-1 Oakland University.
Does not help in the slightest that that ball travels on the flat line right to the top of the box. There's a follow through now for Oakland off the kickoff once again. They want more, not content with a 1-goal lead. Give 2 to Peep. Oh, Chetty.
Take me to the steakhouse. I do love me a good Salt Bay pinch. Gorgeous little touch there from Pete. Drops it underneath the crossbar. Unsavable, right place. Oakland University opening up a bit of daylight now. That brief sense that Terps could maybe get something out of this game was all too brief. They need a quick response. They almost get it double demo, and it still goes wide.
Still, the fact that plays are here and happening for Terps Esports continues to make me confused on where to land with this series, because knowing what I know, that we're probably going to Game 7 after this, and Terps Esports are destined to win, I guess
No
that's
way.
the script would
No
happen.
way.
Maybe they try to do it earlier. Whole lot of misses there. Hexy picks up the pieces.
We're going flower picking because this is an oopsie daisy from Tysonic Boom. Completely misread where that ball was heading. Hexy had a freebie. Gift wrapped. 1-goal game. Terps Esports ain't done yet.
Just over 100 seconds to play. Now at that mark, sidewall, and it's going to be Hexy to respond early. Peep trying to be a nuisance here. Break up the play, and break up the play he has. Hexy makes a delaying touch, and it works out as a save, and then some. Turns around immediately on the blind run and gets another clear aside. Oakland have to back up again.
Turtle. Going to go around the world looking for a bump. Doesn't find one. JD Knight forced back. Resets to play. Hexy. That would be astonishing. Laid up for JD Knight, but no. Tysonic Boom has something to say about that. Demo on Turtle as well. Here's Hexy on the chase. Great sultry touch to take it past one, and the demo, and the setup, and another setup, but it goes high from Turtle. Follow up. Oh, it's 3-3. Astonishing.
Level of poise from a striker that you cannot teach, you must learn. And Turtle puts the brakes on full force, heating those babies up to their highest extent, and grabs the tying goal. Terps Esports will not go quietly. They don't want a decider, they want to be decisive.
As the old saying goes, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and the University of Maryland know just how well that proves true.
You simply cannot stop this roster when Turtle is on a tear, and it's a dime from Hexy right off the kickoff, trying to do it to Oakland the way they did it themselves. 53 to play, and the script has been flipped for now.
Stunned, 3 goals in quick succession. 48 seconds to find a fourth for Oakland University. Challenge. Hexy completely fluffs it. How on earth have they been able to fish that out of there? The answer is JD Knight had the cap on, and now he's going down to the lakes, right down the other side into this blue territory. Turtle can't get there first. Whale helps it onwards, but to whomst, Gaugen, to whomst.
Hoping that the redirect would go right in, but not the case. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink. Can they turn it around with 18 to play? Possession back in Peep's hands, but Turtle tries to dispossess. Played to the side, and Peep cannot land on the ground fast enough. Set center, right into the hands of JD Knight. Under 10 to play, and Tysonic Boom must get it going now. Over to Peep. It's off the sidewall and set it up well.
No way.
Double, too fast. Tysonic Boom on the follow and grounds it. No Game 7 needed. The Terps Esports roster from the University of Maryland. They've done it here in the semifinals. Another massive result in this bracket, and they have earned every bit of this rematch coming up against Drexel.
I'm definitely going to put a proviso on that. Turtle earned every bit of what they managed to earn there. My goodness, that was a captain's performance if ever I've seen one. Just the ability to almost just zone out, and no matter what was going on around him, he always had a solo play ready. And even, I mean, we think about that goal where there was the setup, and then JD Knight sets it up for Turtle, and then Turtle hits the crossbar, and you're thinking, well, that's it. Drive over. They have to go again. But Turtle went again immediately and had the control and poise to put it on target whilst the defense was still scrambling. So So impressed with that performance. And the rewards are quite tangible, Gaugan. That guarantees them a minimum of 60 points just for being in the grand final. That 60 points takes them above Oklahoma Christian. It takes them above Boise State. It takes them above Southern Miss Coca-Cola. 100 points, and they'll be ahead of UT Dallas. But that's for our grand final, of course. The good news is that they are guaranteed a top 3 seed. Don't think we saw that one coming at the end of maybe week 1 or 2.
Absolutely. You have to admire the amount that Terps have grown over the course of these 4 weekends. I love that we've seen them in every single closed qualifier as well, because watching the development of this roster over time, it well and truly feels like we are at the heights that they aspired to reach once this event started 3 odd weeks ago, and now they're finally hitting their stride. As far as this particular series, as we look back at some of the replays, I am astonished at the offensive efficiency from a team like Maryland when they get it going. I think early on, we had our questions, they had their struggles, because I talk a lot about the identity of Rocket League teams and how they best like to play this game. Maryland, to me, reads as a team, and I brought this up in the middle of the series, where Turtle is the inspiring factor, and Hexy and JD Knight are there to completely round out this complete package. As the series went on, Turtle got into form, Hexy started getting into form, JD Knight started getting into form. Everybody was performing exactly how they needed to, and I think that was the biggest struggle for Oakland. They couldn't just play their own style of Rocket League. They had to figure out how to diffuse the situation that was Terps Esports getting better by the second.
Totally, and I think a large part of the thanks should be given to Hexy actually for sacrificing so many forward runs. Certainly as the series went on, went more and more defensively leaning. I'd love to have heat maps in Rocket League, because I'm almost convinced that in those last couple of games he would have spent the majority of time in his own third, except when it's clear that there's a great opportunity to go up there and score a goal or participate in a goal. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I look at Oakland, and actually it's a lack of identity which I feel has lost them this game. I mean, I talked earlier in those first couple where it's like, and even to the first 3 to a certain extent, where, you know, it was clear that they were trying to sit a little bit more defensively and then break out. But it's all fair and well having an identity defensively, Gaugan, but that identity got questioned, it got ripped apart by Terps a couple of times over. But it was the final third which they really suffered. Clinicality really was the watchword here. Terps were, Oakland weren't. And that speaks of a lot of work to be done, synergizing, breaking up plays, and at least for my money, looking for those bump plays, demo plays to just make it a little bit easier for you, honestly.
It was certainly one of the things that Maryland had done so well. I championed this from yesterday's play as well. They're able to confuse their opponents. They did it to UT Dallas. They do it here again to Oakland. And my fear is that for Oakland, as they go into this 3rd place match on this weekend and try to secure 40 points rather than 25 to give themselves a little bit more of a boost, they're going up against Ohio State Gray, who, I mean, we didn't see this matchup on stream, but Ohio State Gray took a 7-game win over Southern Miss Coca-Cola, the team with a 2nd and 3rd place finish in prior weekends of closed qualifier play. So I don't think it's going to get any less confusing for Oakland University in their 3rd place match. I'm really curious to see if they can get that win. It seems like the Drexel Dragons didn't have too much of an issue, and you know, you can use the law of common opponents to try and figure out who's even with who. I love that both teams are completely even in the shot total for this one, but that in and of itself speaks volumes to Terps Esports trying to be that offensive juggernaut. And when they hit their stride, you can really tell, because they played their hearts out through all 6 games here, denying the 7th to Oakland University and confirming that Terps Esports will get their rematch from last week against the Drexel Dragons in the grand finals of the final closed qualifier.
That is coming up after this break. Of course, we do have that 3rd place playoff, 25, 40 points respectively on the line. And it really is as simple as you win that game, you secure a top 8 seed. Whether it means that much in the end with how close this midfield is, up for debate. But one thing is for sure, Drexel Dragons can either put a statement win here, becoming one of the only team to win 2 separate brackets within league play, or Terps could secure not just 3rd seed, but 2nd seed, 100 points enough to see the past UT Dallas. We're going to find out on the other side of this break. We hope to see you then.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Our generation isn't turning away from the world's problems. Watch us fly ahead, rise to every challenge, and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's going to happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
Our generation has a choice. Turn away from the world's problems or chase them down. We refuse to sit back and watch them pass us by. Watch us fly ahead. Rise to every challenge and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
A rare repeat in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series awaits us as the grand final of week number 4's bracket hastily approaches. Relic, I'm joined by Galgan. It's Drexel Dragons. It's Terps Esports. One has already locked in first place in the seeding, Galgan. The other is currently third. Could find themselves second, but are they the favourites, Terps Esports? The previous result, I should say, suggests perhaps not.
Well, you could make that argument, but I think we may learn a little differently this time that Terps Esports are ready more than they ever will be for this particular rematch. There's a lot on the line. The last time these two teams met, it was technically a grand final, but also still the semifinal. So while the winner in Drexel did manage to nab 100 points for their win, it was only 40 for Terps Esports, given the fact that they technically dropped down to the third place match, but then had a forfeit win there. Technicalities aside, this is the grand final, baby. This is for all of the proverbial marbles right now. You know, put aside all of your reservations about what the seeding's going to look like for the playoffs. Both of these teams know they're going to be towards the top of the table. The question is, who has the honor? Is it Drexel Dragons, who go 2-0 against this Terps Esports roster and really try to put them in the mud? Or do Terps Esports level the playing field and make it anyone's guess as to who's going to take the ultimate crown? Drexel Esports certainly wants to grab that second closed qualifier win, but they've got a very strong Maryland roster in their way.
And to be fair, what can we talk about in terms of previous form? Oakland, are they really good and it's just the Terps were even better, or was it a bit of a so-so game from Terps Esports overall? I think we're going to find out pretty quickly. That's a decent start from JD Knight, albeit the shot going off the crossbar. Kevin going infield, very quick counter-attack with Drexel Dragons, just centimeters away really from making connection. Hexy now going for the drive downtown. Turtle tries to get this 50. It's ultimately neutral. Hexy towards the net. To Turtle again! Guys popping off and refuses to stop.
Listen, I know this series is supposed to go to 7 games like it did before, but if Turtle continues playing as well as he did in the closeout of that series against Oakland, it might be wraps, like this early on. I don't call it like it is that often, but Turtle is clearly on one right now, and Drexel Dragons have to understand that that needs to be priority numero uno to find a solution to, and Baron tries to provide just that, but not quite yet.
Lovely play, but Kevin is denied by 2. It is a double commit, unpunished. Turtle, the flick over 1. Ooh, Surf playing with fire. That could have gone anywhere really. Big demo on JD Knight. Fire, Baron still there. 100 through steel. Hexy runs into traffic. Backboard still. Turtle, double commit again. Baron infield for Zerf. Turtle, great stop. Kevin with a 180 dime turn. JD Knight a little bit pressurized there, doesn't manage to get a piece of the ball, I should say, rather. Baron now, backboard. It is relentless from Drexel Dragons, who continue to pummel the backboard, but finally a bit of a reprieve for Terps Esports, but how brief will it be?
The only problem is been pinned in this corner for so long, and I've seen a couple of team bumps from Drexel in that very same corner. So that slows down their efficiency. Terps Esports get it going opposite side of the field. Not much else from there. Baron on the follow-up, trying to instill some sort of pressure here. Space allowed for Drexel to get going, but Hexy blocks against 2. Zerf Hits it right clean for the midfield line. Couple of misses, but Turtle nabs it from the goal line. Kevin sends it right back where it came from, follows up his own shot, but Turtle with a beautiful touch out and a contest on the second as well, meaning that Drexel aren't getting the looks that they want in front of the net just yet. But they're sure as heck fighting for it as much as they can. JD Knight denies another one.
1 minute of solid Drexel Dragons pressure. Surely it's going to... Oh my goodness! It really should have ended in a goal right down the other end! Incredible!
That has to be a goal for Drexel, and Terps Esports have shown them exactly what price they are going to pay as Zerf almost respawns off of that demo. Got about as close as you could without connecting any pixels, and Maryland's up by 2.
Unreal. And they might be in for a third 1v1 Hexy. Oh, strong defense there from Kevin, I believe it was, who made that way more difficult than perhaps otherwise it could have been. Baron demoed for his troubles. Out from the back, Kevin with the pop-up over 1. Hexy looking, watching brief. He's number 2, gets past him as well. Thrown away by Turtle, who is truly playing with that Lysian quality on this Championship Sunday. JD Knight misses out. Zerf goes to the skies, top of the box. Kevin's the setup maybe here. Backboard, drop down. Is there a third? No, Baron was simply not close enough.
All 4 weekends of play, I cannot overstate how scary it is to see this Terps Esports team when they are clicking, because we've had our questions about changing the players out, not getting the results they wanted. That's a big double up, though. Kevin has plenty of time to set this one up and goes for the bump instead. The rotation through from JD Knight has enough time. Turtle goes downfield somewhat. Hexy, not quite ideal, but gets it to the sidewall anyway. A bit more space fought for Maryland. They've got to the 100-second mark without letting Drexel score.
Drexel Dragons, they've got the firepower, but they don't seem to have the ability. I mean, I don't know what the Terps defense is made out of, but it's quite frankly something of an inhuman substance. Oh, speak too soon! No way! Off the line and touch the post! They've literally erected a deflector shield around this goal. I'm convinced.
I'm getting flashbacks. Game 3 yesterday. Everything you
way.
do to score, and you try your best, but you cannot succeed. There are 60 seconds left, and every single shot from Drexel is either saved immediately or taken away by shavings off of the woodwork. Baron tries to put it back central, but Zerf too far forward, Kevin too far to the side, and it slows down yet again as they're forced to back pass just to set this up.
Demo Turtle, Kevin pop-up, who's in support Zerf's there. Hexy challenges, somewhat successful. Follow-up from Zerf. Bit too much power on it, goes over to Kevin. Baron looking for the infield play. Hexy's there. Baron 2. Oh, Zerf too far forward. Drives to the far side. Got boost to use, top of the box. Again, too heavy to touch. And would you believe it? I can't.
They're going to walk away as clean as can be from this game, but you would wonder how they've done it. Feels like highway robbery. Kevin just flips too far out through the midfield. 23 to play. Signed, sealed, delivered for Maryland. They continue today with another strong start to the series. What is the Drexel Dragons get back here? How do they find their way in?
Questions for later. For now, Drexel Dragons would just want 1 goal. Any goal, because it's been it has been truly mind-numbing how they have not scored. They might yet concede a 4th. Turtle has been outstanding in every metric. By far one of the best defensive performances in a single game that we have ever seen on the Run Cry Collegiate series. That defense will concede 1, but it's so non-effectual on this game, Galgan. It's not even worth considering, really. 1-0 Terps in the series.
Could make so many arguments about that one. Garbage time goal, not preserving the clean sheet, what have you. They knew the game was secured. Didn't really matter. We move on. It's a first win for Maryland, but this is the talking point that I feel like we're going to revisit a lot, especially as we get into playoffs if Maryland continue this run of form. You can have the conversation all you want about whether or not a team is clicking, whether or not they feel like they're warmed up, ready to go in whatever series they're playing. But the fact of the matter is, Maryland have shown up right here, right now. It's not the playoffs, but over the past, I'd say 3 games, given they're on a 3-game win streak if you count the final 2 of the prior series, over the last 3 games, they have not switched off for a moment. And that is very, very concerning for anybody they go up against. Drexel Dragons, like I said at the beginning of the game, they have some questions to answer on their own front, but now Maryland have just hit them with the entire textbook, the almanac of sorts, and expected them to decipher it in 5 minutes' time.
Yeah, UT Dallas is just sitting back on the proverbial couch and saying, look, it's not so easy, is it? It's not so easy. Like, you're there criticizing us, saying, oh, I can't believe they didn't beat Terps. When Terps is genuinely looking... Oh, sorry, Terps. My apologies. UT Dallas is basically saying, look, it's so easy to hit the net. It's not easy to hit the net, is it? It's... You got to feel for Drexel Dragons. I don't think they could have played any better. Do you agree with me on that? I don't feel like they could have played any better. It just didn't fall for them.
I mean, sure, there were chances that they missed, but I think early on in game 1, there were a couple of sequences where Drexel just they stuck Maryland in a singular corner, but they also couldn't get themselves out of there. There were a couple of team bumps and whatnot, so I'd like to see the play come to fruition and have a more solid foundation from the midfield line, as it appears they've got going on now. So more like this. Catch the ball when it's given to you and bury it. Aaron does just that.
It's a gorgeous first touch, and because Turtle's having to go from the back wall down onto the ground, that buys up crucial time. The only way he was going to save that is if he continued with his momentum. Not because Baron had such a great first touch. He was in full control of that situation. Could have slowed it, could have faked it. It was a guaranteed 1-0.
I'm just going to put this on the record as well before we see it and promptly freak out and figure out what's going on. I think there may have been a forfeit in the 3rd place match, so we're just gonna let that result sit. For right now, we know that Ohio State Gray have nabbed the 3rd place points, so that's 40 to them and 25 to Oakland. Obviously, they've both made playoffs. Oakland, not quite the seed that they want to be, but hey, we can have that conversation over and over again. Maryville's sitting on 25 points if they decide to play Terps Esports, ringing every bit of the goal to try and find an equalizer.
JD Knight. Hexy, I think, just for the show there. Turtle couldn't really wrap his car around that. Does at least get a challenge in. Hexy as well, but 2 against 1 isn't going to bode well. Zerf on the chase. Turtle is called off there, isn't he, actually, Zerf? So Turtle left to his own devices, but there is Fresh with boost. JD Knight towards the net. Well, marshaled by Baron underneath Hexy. A bit of a crossing of the beams there, very Ghostbusters. Good steal on the 100 from JD Knight, protecting their own 100 boost, and now slowing things down and looking to at least try and get some sort of midfield control. But the game has slowed down to a point, Galgan, where Terps Esports, they need to be playing with more pace, not less. Drexel Dragons, they're quite happy to play as it is.
Such an odd play, though. Like, when that starts with JD Knight right behind the ball, you don't want to take the challenge because it's not really going to favor you if you're Drexel Dragons, but at the same time, JD Knight's not really going anywhere, just kind of threatening with low boost. Maybe you think there's a bit more in the tank, but Drexel Dragons open to inviting the challenge in, at least for now. First half of the game almost done and dusted, and Maryland haven't had as many strong scoring chances. Now, Hexy tries to set up a run, but pulls away from the goal line as JD Knight takes the shot, and it's saved aside. Turtle gets it center, and nobody's there in time. 2 golden opportunities for Maryland, and they have to back away.
Yeah, the biggest mistake there from Hexy. You've got to commit to the run. You've got to go all the way to the back of the net. Otherwise, there might be someone just off the line who can make that save. And that case was proven correct. Drexel Dragons then still 1-0 up despite the improved form from Terps Esports. Hexy gives it up to Baron, and that's a double commit. They're going to be forced into retreat here. No chance of continuing the attack. Zerf, lots of boost to use here. Goes for the pinch off JD Knight, buys more time. They lie in wait, Drexel Dragons, ready to embrace the ball, but they're not going to be able to do this right now. Turtle bashes through 1, gets a piece of this one. JD Knight up, takes it to the midfield line, but doesn't get much more momentum on it either. That's a little bit better from Hexy, but again, it's a big clear to all of nobody.
You know, now that I consider it, the idea that today, any game that Maryland loses, they have not scored in, that idea still stays true, at least for now. Drexel makes it 2. Very solid touch from Baron, and Kevin puts it home effortlessly.
Yeah, I think there'll be some argument that Turtle maybe should be getting there, but you've got to applaud the redirection and the power generated behind that to put Drexel Dragons 2-0 up, and that's a crucial point in the game where Terps Esports are feeling a little bit better about themselves, and yet they still get scored on. 90 seconds left now. Turtle just drives it into the hands of Baron. I see what they're trying to do here, Galgan, but without any demos or power plays, they're not going to find much success with it.
Only so much you can do. Rounded with the ball, headed into enemy territory, no support system inbound. See if they can formulate something a bit more sound this time around. Rotations all the way through. Kevin just taps on an open target, and everybody gets caught looking forward without the ball in secure hands. Terps Esports concede again.
Really does feel like fireworks night, doesn't it? Ooh. But as the opposition, you cannot afford to give it away so cheaply. Drexel Dragons, they've oiled the gears now. The machine is running smoothly. And you've got to fear for Terps Esports because they look better. And I mean, again, let's not forget how well Drexel Dragons played in game number 1 with 1 buzzer beater goal to show for it. I think that the potential was there. Terps Esports might have used up all of their luck in one go.
See if they can try and find some form of consolation here. Still not outside of the realm of possibility for a comeback, but that clear is going to make it a lot harder as Turtle just has to catch and collect. JD Knight trying to get it forward for Hexy and does. It's on target, but slow enough for Kevin to tap it aside. I think you can start to call this game safely home for the Drexel Dragons. We'll see if they manage to notch one more, but you're right on it. You cannot put this Drexel Dragons side away just yet. They've got a crown under their name from weekend number 3. They've got some wins over Ohio State Gray and Terps before. Both made it to the semifinal sphere this weekend. Drexel Dragons deserve to be here, and for all intents and purposes, they are going to keep this game going for one more second.
This is so nasty. Oh, goodness, Drexel Dragons. They are going for that 2-peat. They are going, they're determined to be the only team to win 2 brackets. Now, of course, given there is the proviso that the very best teams that we have seen winning, the likes of OC, the likes of Boise State, the likes of Southern Miss Coca-Cola, who actually have been knocked out earlier in this bracket. And just saying, they've not turned up for every single event. So, of course, slightly skewed, but it's got to feel good being number 1, Galgan. And they know that they're number 1. They know that they're not going to be shifted off number 1. So they're trying to play like it. We talk about that, the whole pressure scenario. When you're expected to win something, what does that do to your mental? Drexel Dragons are vibing with it. They look so confident. And the fact that they looked so confident in the face of what could have been a very demoralizing opening 5 minutes, I love that from them. And I love that for them.
At the same time, let's look again at the University of Maryland. They've played 8 games of Rocket League so far today. They've won 5 and lost 3. Obviously, they've had to score in the games that they win because that's how this game works. Still scoreless in any game that they lose. Another clean sheet against the University of Maryland. I don't know how much more cut and dry this can become, where the team has to be operating on offense at all to give themselves a chance to win these games, because you don't want to write them off as soon as you get to the 2-1 minute mark and they still haven't found the back of the net. But you would think that with the performances we've seen in the past from players like Turtle, that they would have some level of last minute ice in their veins. It has not shown. They're still trying to freeze up in that regard. And Baron, my word, another strong opener.
Zero hesitation, pure skill. Hexy simply didn't have time to react. 6 seconds, that's all it took for the Terps Esports defense to be broken open here in game number 3. And this does threaten to landslide, Galgan. Terps Esports have got to find some semblance of defensive stability now, even if it means not scoring down the other end. It's better to try and set up the correct rotation from the ground up rather than continue to concede at the rate that they are.
It certainly has to go beyond individual prowess right now for Terps Esports, because Drexel Dragons can be that three-headed hydra that they need to be. Towards the far post, out and back away. Now another chance for Turtle off the ground. It's a confusing shot to be sure, and Hexy's gonna tap that home. Everybody committed to what could have been, and it was anyone's guess where that ball was going.
Oh boy. Throw what I said out the window. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's just attack. Just attack and hope for the best, I think. Good on Terps Esports. I'm glad their perseverance has paid off. But Drexel Dragons continue to look threatening with every push forward. Look at this. Baron. Oh my word. Beats 2. Kevin. Oh, what a save. But what, like, the fact that it's that caliber of save that is needed to deny the goal. It speaks volumes of where Drexel Dragons are sitting now, both confidence-wise and form-wise.
I think that's one of the best things about their offense. The shots are always miraculous. It forces that out of the defense. I mean, we saw the same exact thing for Maryland's first goal here, trying to take a more conventional route for Turtle. But Kevin with the save aside. Baron Demo thins out the numbers offensively for Drexel on the counterattack, and they're blocked from the corner immediately. Baron just trying to delay, but sends it to their own back corner. This is going everywhere but in the hands of Drexel, but still, they're able to work it out. Connections, despite the demo, get it back out to the midfield line. Don't give Maryland a better time of day to get a shot on target, and they've done very well to calm that sequence down. That ball was moving far too quickly, and yet they still did not let it get to the top of their own box.
Brown was looking to go for the dunk. Nothing to be found. Kevin, though. That's sweet. That's nice. Turtle back. But throws it downfield and doesn't see anybody in front of him. Baron. It's a good challenge from Hexy here, but again, who's going forward for Terps? The answer is nobody. Everybody is back. Yeah, you've got to try and be a bit more defensive, but I didn't mean this defensive. You've got to have some sort of contingency plan if you do break out of your shell.
Really starting to look at getting boost starved here for Terps Esports. They're trying to rotate through the corners, having to send players with little to nothing through that same corner just to get a glimpse of it clear. Aaron over the top. JD Knight's in a tough spot. It has to be Turtle first. Nobody else is rotating back in, but it's okay. Hexy with the carry through onto the back wall. Forces it out center. Turtle doesn't get up fast enough. A bit too far away for the shot for his liking, but JD Knight going center again to Hexy. Save registered by Kevin, and a collection by Zerf to go back. Aaron wants to tap it home. Not a whole lot of boost. Confusing play. Here's the follow by Kevin, but the shot is fluffed, sent to the side. And Maryland have a chance to break out, but they only get as far as the midfield line. It's a big struggle right now for Terps Esports to get anything on the right side of the pitch. We continue to get shut out here as Baron takes another shot on, and the second rebound goes just wide.
Pinball wizard in the box. You don't want to be relying on those sorts of laws of physics if you're Terps Esports. You might as well roll a die and hope for the best. Baron not going to reach Kevin. Good work from Turtle, but he spends so much boost. That was a great opportunity for Hexy. Zerf does enough to put him off. Goes for a second touch. JD Knight reaches it to Turtle through the side into no man's land, but Zerf ready to receive. Throws it upfield again. Hexy. Big challenge from Zerf. The follow-up opportunity. Kevin loses out with the second touch. Hexy was hoping to leave for Turtle maybe, but Turtle maybe said no, go for it, and it's ended up right back where it started. Good challenge, JD Knight. Hexy central. Turtle waits. Over to JD Knight. The rip from Turtle stopped before it even left his car.
Good start, though, to the final 60 seconds for Terps Esports. They certainly have let the advantage slip just a little bit, but at the same time, Drexel Dragons, they need to show that this was their game to lose from the start. Now, a chaotic play at the top of the box. Kevin brings the hammer down, and Drexel Dragons do just that.
Last week, Baron had an incredible day. This one was more about just staying put. It was effectively a double commit from Terps Esports, but because Baron is just stopping at the red lights and saying, I'm not going to move, he's in the right place to have a ball ricochet central, then sets up perfectly. Drexel Dragon with much needed daylight, and Kevin is styling to put 2 goals to the good for Drexel Dragons.
The toughest part is Hexy did everything he could, had Burn going for the demo, or Baron rather, grabs the touch, but it's not enough. Still squeezes through the defenseless bottom corner, and Drexel Dragons try to put another one on ice here, grab a series lead. It's 30 seconds to go. You can tell momentum starting to shift. You can feel it in the air.
So put Terps 2 games, sorry, this would put Drexel Dragons, I should say, 2 wins to 1. As a 4th goes in for Kevin. But it's the nature of these defeats now, which is looking more and more worrisome for Terps Esports. Even in scoring one, even in having moments where they're looking pretty good, on par with Drexel Dragons. Just feels like Drexel have got that extra gear to shift up into. We praised Turtle for having an incredible individual influence on the last series. We know that Hexy is capable of that as well. But every single one of these Dragons players is legitimately cracked. Every single one of them can change a game on a dime, and we've seen that here. Today it was Kevin and Baron. Tomorrow it'll be Zerf and Baron. The day after it'll just be a bit of Kevin. Where's the threat coming from? The answer is everywhere, Gaugan, and Terps don't know where to look.
And I think that's what I am so concerned about for the University of Maryland right here, is for all of this talk that we can have about the team firing on all cylinders, looking like they're ready to win any match thrown their way. The space between being on their best and, you know, what some people would describe as their A game and not performing to the level that they need to is starting to feel less like a spectrum and more like a light switch, fully on or fully off. That's what concerns me for this roster right now, because you said it, every single player on Maryland needs to be operating at their highest level, not just in this particular series, but as a Rocket League team. The best teams are forged in those team plays where all 3 players are on the same level, on the same page at all times. It's amazing that you can implement the strategy of Turtle goes score and it works out a good amount of times, but some level of depth has to be shown to grind out a series like this where you know Drexel had beaten you once before, albeit in a close series, and you don't want them to do it to you again.
If anything, this is just making Drexel Dragons look the part. We had a question of UT Dallas when they were top of the table last week. We were saying, you know, are they really part of this true top echelon of Rally Cry Collegiate Series teams, or are they sitting in that pack just behind? And it was a sort of result yesterday where Terps wins a relatively mid-table team at the point, and we're thinking, maybe not, and maybe now we're seeing that they're actually quite similar, but Drexel Dragons, who they've lost to Southern Miss, Coca-Cola, all right. They've lost to UT Dallas as well, but that was 4-3. We have to compliment Drexel Dragons on the improvement that we've been seeing from them week to week, because their trajectory has only been up, I would argue, but eventually you do have to find a little bit of a dip somewhere. And Terps Esports, this might be one of the most important goals that Hexy scores this series, a crucial lead.
Have to make sure that upwards trajectory is met with upwards eyesight, but it's so tough when you're down on the ground to keep looking up, down, ceiling, ground. All of a sudden you've been scored on. That is a textbook way to get a goal for Terps Esports. They start off early here with the lead and forcing Drexel Dragons to be a bit more hesitant about how they move forward, but trying to catch JD Knight off guard, unsuccessful. It's another midfield hold for Maryland.
How do they fight from behind again? Drexel Dragons, the 1-goal lead seems, well, thin for Terps Esports. It looks very beatable, and the Drexel Dragons will know this, but they'll also know that there is something about this Terps roster. Give them the freedom of the field, and they will score time and time and time again. Just rewind to game number 1 to find that out. 3 goals completely unopposed. Bump midfield. To Kevin, it tries to go, but JD Knight's in the way. Backboard, almost finds the shot actually. Unfortunate there as Kevin recycles. But much better from the team in orange. Short passing working a treat.
Had the vision moving forward. JD Knight will try to pick up the pieces. Hexy jumps early here to delay. Had behind support in the sense of Turtle. He's going to get a solid challenge off of this play. Zerf plays it sideways, but Drexel Dragons just forced to delay here rather than take some steps forward into the zone. Kevin now finds Baron in the corner. Turtle will catch and collect. Bit of a scramble to get that one going in a meaningful direction, however, so Hexy will take over responsibility for Maryland. Top of the box, Turtle shot taken. Zerf, early denial, important for the Drexel Dragons. They don't want that ball to sweep through to the goal line, but they continue to let the back wall go somewhat unopposed. Double commit is not what you need in this situation. Turtle with a nice foot down, trying to fake everybody out, and almost does, set just wide on the follow-up shot.
Leaving the backboard open because they know that Terps are going to get suckered into placing it there, and that means that it's not, at least initially, a shot on target, Galgan. I think that the logic is sound, but it's what you're going to do after that step in the play. And I don't think the Drexel Dragons are necessarily dealing with it perfectly, but they're at least still not conceding that second, at least not yet. Let's put a hold on that. Oh, what a pinch off the backboard from Zerf. Unfortunate the Baron was not able to continue the good work. Kevin now to clean up the pieces, but JD Knight, again, I mean, he's been everywhere this game, JD Knight. Fair play, of course, the goal scorer. Sorry, my apologies. I think the assist there to Hexy scoring the goal. Zerf over to Baron, good pop-up, but there's too much whip on that ball, and it's another minute that goes by, Galgan. Another minute where Terps remain in the lead.
See the game plan from the University of Maryland, however, just trying to be that contact hitter of sorts. Make sure you keep it away from the Drexel Dragons. Don't give them the better chance to score. Turtle jumps up high as we near that minute mark. Zerf follows through, has plenty of time here, it seems, against all three players from Maryland. Baron follows up, but it's well high and away above the crossbar. Kevin has to back up quickly. Grabs it, goes off the ceiling, trying to test for this challenge, not to be. Big bump out of the way, and it works against them as Hexy cleans up shop.
It really is deja vu. I think definitely less dominant a game from Drexel Dragons. Terps Esports certainly with a louder voice in this one, and yet again, not a clear-cut opportunity for Terps Esports, but they grab that opportunity with both hands. That's looking a bit better. 2 goals to the good. 60 seconds left. Maybe manufacturing a third. Zerf with a much-needed save. Now for the transition. Stopped immediately by Hexy. The defense is so proactive. I love it.
Great level of confidence. And finding the touches crucial, of course. They miss those, and Drexel gets a look at a first and an equalizer if they can. 40 seconds. The first almost. But Kevin puts a dent in the woodwork. Now Hexy to take it back the other way, kill off more time from the clock. Zerf goes center over to Kevin. Beautiful read, and they catch everybody looking.
Oh, they have got some magnificent vision in this team. Zerf going for the center circle. Kevin finds it. I think there is a little more power put on that ball by the challenge, I think, of JD Knight in there. And that's what gives it the extra lick of pace to beat that keeper. 1 goal game.
Oh no! It's Baron to recycle the ball. 20 seconds. Drexel Dragons now forced out of the zone midfield, and they do not control that. But Kevin given enough time to send it to the corner. Baron centers up. Zerf with a pre-flip. You had to at that point get to the ball, make sure that Maryland couldn't clear it. But it looks like clear it they will. Hexy does not follow through on that, but Turtle blocks the obvious pop-up. It's headed towards the ground. And it's a win for the University of Maryland, an even series as if you expected any different from these two teams. But that finish, I don't know. We start to get a couple more question marks here.
And exclamation marks on top of that as well. I am, no disrespect to the University of Maryland, I am truly baffled how this has not been a 4-0 sweep. I genuinely think we should be here talking about how that was an extraordinary series from the Drexel Dragons, how Terps looked pretty good in spaces, decently defensively. There were some pop-off moments, but not enough to see them to deep into this series. But deep into this series we are, Galgan. It's 2-2, seemingly against everything that tells me that this should be domination alert from Drexel Dragons. I'm speechless, and that is a rarity.
Yeah, I feel inclined to believe in what you're saying in some regards, but at the same time, if you want to talk about potential output for both of these teams, you would want to think that it's higher for both sides, and maybe we have seen as high as it can go for either team, especially Maryland, who we've seen time and time again. Some of the games that they've played earlier on today, the beginning of this series, the end of the series against Oakland, fantastic performances, staying true to their identity and showing why they deserve to win these series and win this closed qualifier. But at the same time, I'm waiting for the game where both teams step it up to 100 at the same time. We get, even for a couple of minutes, take away the misses at the midfield, the miscommunications in the corner, all of these tiny mistakes that we know these players can rectify, but it's stringing all of that together for a consistent amount of time. That's when we really start to open up and understand who has the edge and the upper hand in this particular series. Drexel Dragons have done everything but score, and Baron, another early goal.
I'm telling you, the greatest ally that Terps Esports have right now is Drexel Dragons' inability to put it in the back of the net. The reason why they've scored so many goals, Gaugen, is because of how many times they get into shooting positions, but their conversion rate has been abysmal. At least on this occasion, they've got the tee up, the shadow striker in position to put that one goal away, but Turtle sends it straight back at you. I tell you what, now would be an excellent time for Terps to hit, as you say, 100%.
And listen, I love that it's Turtle scoring. Get back into shooting form here and take it where the defenders can't save. But again, that's a sequence that Drexel can't let happen right there. Turtle has too much time to turn around for that ball. Takes a very grounded shot. It's not what both teams want to be doing right now, but at least Maryland have the tie. They're still fighting in this one as if we were doing anything else other than going to Game 7, because why not? Between these two squads, they deserve it.
On the face of it, I would have been like, yeah, of course it's going to be game number 7. But my eyes tell me differently. But again, I'm willing to be convinced by Terps Esports. It's game number 5. No matter how you've gotten here, you are here nonetheless. And after going 1-0 down early, you have found the strength to grab that next goal. I love this look-ahead play from JD Knight. Big demo. Turtle freebie! Oh, no!
Turtle did not score that, and yet just a little assistance is all it takes from your friend on the other side there, and coming in from the near post. I mean, listen, as much as we can mock a play like that, you have to make a touch on that ball, and it's tough coming in from the near post to get the angle just right. A couple pixels wide, and that one's going across the goal line where nobody else from Maryland is following up. They still grab the goal. They have the lead. You have to think this inspires Terps Esports with a bit more confidence to understand, hey, we can do the same thing this time around, try and close out a series from 2-2 in 2 straight games. They've got the lead to justify it.
JD Knight. Oh, if he'd gotten it past Zerf, that would have been supreme. But his Hexy, nevertheless, on target. Oh! What a read from JD Knight. Big save, still on target, and a huge reaction save from Kevin. It's still not over. Watch out. Kevin has to go all the way over to the other side of the pitch and win a challenge to set up a transition play. Surf, no dunk, because there's JD Knight again. I swear, it's a Star Trek. He's got a mobile transporter on him.
Galore as well. Pure chaos ringing through, and a couple games early, but you expect it from both teams getting a little desperate. The right amount of calculated desperation needed. Demo on the entrance to the offensive zone onto Baron is going to make the defensive rotation a bit more staggered for the Drexel Dragons, and they're finding out the hard way. Baron, big save, delayed their top of the box onto JD Knight. And here's Turtle to set up Hexy and Surf with a beautiful read.
There was a moment of just hesitation where Zerf turns and he's like, wait, where's Kevin? Kevin's supposed to be there, and he wasn't. The Drexel Dragons rotation is failing them right now because of this Terps aggression in the midfield. The demos are coming out as well. It's fantastic to see. Hexy not afraid to go back to secure the boost. The infield pass is weak. Big double buff Hexy, the touch required of him. Baron with the reset to Kevin. The shot stopped by JD Knight. These shots are coming from 30, 40 meters out, Galgan. It's not going to be enough.
And the demo's still raining through. It's a double onto the side of Terps Esports. It's not often you see a player launched with the same velocity as the ball, but my word, Drexel wants it right now. They just need to score. That feels like the most important part and piece of the puzzle, and yet they can't get it done. Again, the dreaded corner getting stuck here, trying to fake players out. JD Knight gets it past 2 because of the overcommit into that sequence. Middle of the field, loss of control for Drexel. It's immediately on frame, and they've got 60 seconds to try and find some semblance of cohesion because it's all starting to slip away. Now trying to slip the ball through. And Zerf, however, has support behind, just the low dribble. Not going to work out.
Literally taught an entire language to the defense there so that they can read him. Turtle, midfield. Second touch to Zerf. My goodness, that was a full stop, wasn't it? Baron going for the bump. It's over to Kevin. Great launch, but JD Knight again. MVP of this game, undoubted. 30 seconds to hold on to that award. It requires not conceding. Set up! Goal! They did concede!
Oh dear, what's happened? Terps Esports, one miss. Kevin waiting in the corner, rent-free, and Zerf at the top of the box does not give you a second thought about saving that away. Drexel Dragons, 2-2 in the game, 2-2 in the series.
JD Knight looking at his two teammates asking, what on earth was that, lads? What on earth was that? I was nowhere near the play. How could I save that? Drexel Dragons, with the wind underneath their wings, they're flying high. Kevin, the follower! Zerf 3-2!
They've pulled it out from underneath the University of Maryland. Kevin gives all the time in the world, and Zerf delivers again. 12 seconds now for a comeback for Maryland. Otherwise, Drexel Dragons are on the cusp of a two-peat.
The Terps tremble, and the Dragons roar on DFH Stadium. Incredible turnaround from Drexel Dragons, but is it over yet? Turtle, oh, what a save! Twice the goal scorer, but the game winner was that save. Incredible match point.
It's the setup you want, the setup you dream of if you're a fan of Terps Esports. And it comes up short, but the work that needed to be done was 1 minute earlier. You have to slow Drexel down. We go back to this conversation of having last-minute ice. It's not there for Maryland right now. Drexel have that step up that they can take to elevate their gameplay in the closing moments, and for all the work that JD Knight was doing during that game that you so rightfully called out. Zerf was always in the right spot at the right time for every single pass that squeaked its way through to the top of the box, scored 2 crucial goals, and it's the Drexel Dragons now with 2 chances to go back-to-back as closed qualifier champions here.
It bears repeating, every one of those players can pop off at any moment, and Zerf's pop-off wasn't mechanical, and it certainly wasn't tactical. It was individual, and it was doing the basics right. Be in a good place for any sort of carnage that unfolds in front of net, and when you shoot your shot, get it on target. And he did, twice, and he made a fantastic save. And this is arguably the most damaging of defeats for Terps Esports. I said right at the beginning of this game, Hexy scoring one of arguably the most crucial goals in the entire series. But it wasn't to be. That was as good a performance as we've seen from Terps Esports, and it still wasn't enough. They need to find another level, Galgan.
Merely working to force Game 7, the place they found Drexel before and could not get it done, but so much left on the plate just to get there in the first place, and midfield calamity occurs. It's Aaron to score early again from the other side of the field.
I thought that was a Kevin extra touch. It wasn't. Neither of the players in the way of that shot managed to get it. It was a straight and true run down the boulevard for the Drexel Dragons and for Baron. He was Red Baron, red in the face earlier with that own goal, but that is a long, distant memory. Drexel Dragons, 4.5 minutes from 2 wins in a bracket on the bounce.
Stand atop that stage, loud and proud, who they are and what they've done to get to this point. Kevin off the back wall, no follow through, but forces the double out, and Hexy's bumped back into the ball. Zerf with a follow through. Drexel have everything going for them. Look at the open space, forcing Hexy out. Kevin goes to the back wall. It's another double, and it is pure desperation and nothing short of it for Terps Esports. They need to get something going and going quickly.
Yeah, they need to calm down. Easier said than done, but it's exactly what they need, because this defense is absolutely shambolic. Drexel Dragons are driving straight through, unopposed to this victory that they so richly want.
Playing too fast for their own good. Drexel Dragons making the ball ping around at light speed, and yet Terps Esports feel like they need to make the first touch possible, but it's such a tough read to make consistently. 1 miss is enough to give Drexel Dragons a good look on target. 2 misses is essentially going to do it for any scoring chance that this side in blue can secure. And look at how strung out the University of Maryland feels right now. Demoed, not taking the touches they want. Baron gets some clear air and looks for a flip reset. It sets up Zerf for a shot. Kevin gets to rotate in. And finally, a clearance, a chance on a quick break, but it's blocked just as quickly. The Drexel Dragons not granting Maryland any quarter.
Oppositional awareness is out of this world. Drexel Dragons, the communications you can tell are flowing, because there's complete knowledge on where these individuals are and what the right play is to stop them from getting onto the ball. We saw the pop-up back there when we knew someone was lying on wait in the wing, but there was always going to be someone lying in wait central. Zerf with the carry to Kevin. 2 minutes gone, 3 goals to the good.
3-0 at 3:03. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, but the Drexel Dragons crown's getting a bit heavier tonight. They can feel it. Zerf wants 4. Zerf almost gets it, but the bar denies. Kevin on the follow through. You have to think Baron's sizing this one up, and Turtle with a jump will be dispossessed by a low boost Baron. Here's a clear through, but Zerf stands tall, and again, no chance for Terps Esports to get anything going. Finally, now off the back wall, and you're right to call it. That has to be a goal that you score.
Turtle would not let Kevin go. Put the handcuffs on. You have the right to remain silent. Eventually does get the turnaround, too little too late. JD Knight definitely deserves a goal after his efforts last game. 1 down Gaugen, 2 more to find.
Oh, struggles though off the kickoff. It's Turtle who's committing to this with low boost. JD Knight on the bump run doesn't find anything. You almost want JD Knight to take the quick shot, and with Drexel Dragons not back in rotation. But here's Kevin from far away, have the demo in the back line. Clear. Zerf, no, tries to hit up Baron, but it's too far. If you let that ball go and Baron jumps for it, you've got your 4th. But on the other end, Maryland threatened a second. Turtle has to play it to the sidewall, and a big clear transition plays are reigning supreme.
He's got a hat-trick of assists in this particular game, Zerf. Overthought that potential one. Good stomp on here from Kevin. And Zerf forced back. JD Knight straight into Zerf, unfortunately for him. Oh, Turtle needs to get a piece of that. Does so. Lies in wait. Kevin still in the dangerous area. Hexy to JD Knight to Turtle. Transition complete. Backboard. Lovely touch from Red Baron out to the side.
Zerf. Follow through, keep it out of the danger zone, and well to do. Hexy with a catch at the midfield line, but it's still eluding the control of Terps Esports, and that is an almost open backfield. JD Knight gets the save away, but for how much longer can they prolong the inevitable? Every single time the Drexel Dragons get in the zone, they get at least 1 solid chance out through the corner. Solid ball for somebody to jump to, but JD Knight can't get there fast enough. A challenge is all that can be purchased. And the Drexel Dragons, a beautiful redirect back towards the frame. Hexy has to flail at it. Baron now against JD Knight, one-on-one. The Turtle coming in support. It's well wide, but 60 seconds left. Have the Drexel Dragons done enough, taking enough time off the clock?
They've gone punch for punch with Terps Esports, and it has worked a treat, because as much as Terps Esports would want to throw a little bit more into the attack, they've also not wanted to concede those passing lanes to Drexel Dragons. They've had to rotate back quicker than they would have liked. They would have wanted to play a little more aggressively, but it's had to be conservative. 2v1, Baron on target, Zerf with the secure, gets his goal, and that might be all Shisan.
And you hear the bells ringing, victory lap on the way for the Drexel Dragons. 36 seconds to close it out. We've seen crazier comebacks, but Terps Esports have not been granted the better time of day to get anything like that going just yet. AD Knight tries to inspire something, but I think the Drexel Dragons are starting to feel it now.
It was 4-3 to the Dragons 1 week ago. 4-2 unless we have truly miraculous occurrences. Turtle stopped on target. Baron right place. Where's the third Galgan? There they are. Hexy, no triple tap. The shot's wide from Turtle. And I really do think that is it. The Drexel Dragons, the only team to win 2 brackets. They happen to be back-to-back. They were already the #1 seed in the playoffs going into this particular game, into this series. Well, they have now rubber-stamped an extra 100 points onto their total. 215, I believe that totals up to. For Terps, they're going to have to settle for a top 3 berth. Still much better than they probably were expecting, but I think they're going to be a little bit feeling hard done by themselves after this particular series.
Same time, it took 7 games the first time around for Drexel to put away Maryland. This time, 6 is all they get, and what a performance when you look back not only at this series, but a reflection of all 4 closed qualifiers for both of these teams, because we cannot overstate the fact that both of these teams played all 4 weekends, and they well and truly grew into their own as these closed qualifiers progressed. But you pointed that out in the middle of the series. Drexel's trajectory has been going up and up and up and up, and they continue on that climb here with a statement win, putting away the University of Maryland for their 2nd time in, honestly, a very small amount of series in these 4 weekends of play. Everything's looking up for this team, who started off the event in the first weekend of play with an immediate 7-game loss to UT Dallas. And at that point in time, you and I both sat back and thought, okay, UT Dallas were the clear favorites coming in, but they struggled a little bit. You know, Drexel performed pretty well, but is that really what we can expect from them? And how naive were we to think that the Drexel Dragons would not improve upon that form? They've shown consistency, not only that, but improving upon where they were at the start of the event, and then some. It's truly beautiful to know.
And as much as we will give credit to Terps for reacting well to the outright oppression that they suffered in game #1, and the rather hard-fought battlefield that they took to in game #3, I will maintain my point from 5 minutes ago. I think we should be talking about a sweep, really. But the fact that Drexel Dragons, the only complaint that I can have on them is that they got a little bit unlucky in places, and that they should probably do a couple of shooting training packs so that they don't hit the woodwork 11 billion times. That is picking... there's a phrase, isn't there? That's picking holes in what is a beautiful tapestry of events that we've seen culminate in today. The best Drexel Dragons have ever looked. I think this is absolutely comfortable top 5 team, even given, you know, the sort of weird, like, how the seeding has worked out, with some teams turning up sometimes and some teams turning up not so much. Drexel Dragons have turned up all 4 weeks, and they look so much better for it.
And at the same time, Terps Esports, what's not to like about their run as well, because constantly improving, finding their own identity, going through roster changes, and just trying to slot themselves into a top spot. Yes, there is a question to be asked about getting these wins over top teams in the field. Started off, you know, with a win over Ohio State Great early on in the first weekend of play, but losing quickly to Oklahoma Christian, losing to the Pescados, obviously losing the first time around to Drexel, but still getting a win over UC Berkeley. So there's plenty of arguments that you could make about Terps Esports and their improvement over these 4 weekends of play. but I think they're in a solid spot now. I say that. At the same time, their playstyle is one that feels very defined and rigid, where if it's on, it's absolutely on, and opponents will have somewhat of a struggle to deal with it. But at the same time, you wait to see if the University of Maryland can evolve past that, try and bring another level, another gear that they can shift into during the playoffs to throw their opponents off guard and avoid results like this. But finally, the end of the fourth and final closed qualifier. Playoffs are waiting in the wings, but the Drexel Dragons are taking home 2 closed qualifier crowns, and I'm sure they are ecstatic to do so.
They lead the way in the seedings. They are top spot ahead of UT Dallas, the aforementioned Terps, who slot into third place ahead of Southern Miss Coca-Cola, Boise, and OC. That's 110, 100, and 100 points. It is then a significant 40 points back to where we find Ohio State Gray, who themselves, we believe, won that third place playoff through a forfeit. Then we got New Haven, Pescados, Oakland, the Gamecocks, Cal, Maryville, Bowling Green, Thomas College, and Southern Miss Gold. Those are your 16 teams, folks. Of course, it is still to be decided if those 16 teams will indeed take to the field in a week's time. We do obviously have to worry about a couple of scheduling conflicts here and there. We do have, of course, waiting in the wings likes of Michigan State White, Northeastern as well, who will be ready to take up that opportunity should it head their way. But I think really what we're looking at here, Galgan, is those top 6 teams: Dragons, Dallas, Maryland, Southern Miss Coca-Cola, Boise State, and Oklahoma Christian. I really think that is our top echelon. Maybe UT Dallas and Terps in a chasing pack behind the other 4, but that's half the fun of it, isn't it? We can speculate, we can theory craft. In a week's time, we're going to get answers to those questions.
Let's keep in mind, though, as we move into the playoffs, because we're going to put all 16 of these teams into the seeding as they place in terms of points. There's going to be a bit of player skill, MMR rank, whatnot, factored into the final seeding. I think that's the right call to make, because otherwise, if you just put all 16 teams into a double elimination bracket, you get 4th seed Southern Miss Coca-Cola in the first round going up against 13th seeded Maryville. I don't think that makes any sense at all. And rightfully so, the tournament administration also thinks that doesn't really make any sense at all. So the seeding may fluctuate a little bit before we get to playoffs, but the fact of the matter remains, we have 16 hungry teams all the way down the list who want to make upsets happen, make chaos happen, prove that they deserve to be towards the top spots when they may not have been in consideration for such as the event kicked off. The playoffs are where it all counts, though, and I am thrilled that all of these teams have a chance to prove themselves, because the sky well and truly is the limit.
Well, our hopes and our dreams are sky high. We hope that your enjoyment of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series matches that enthusiasm. We absolutely love you being here, so please be sure to follow along here on Rally Cry 2. We're going to be back same time, same place in a week, Saturday, and we're going to be joined by a special guest on Sunday as well, so be sure to tune in for that. But from Galgan, from myself, from the wonderful production team behind the scenes, we're going to bid you adieu. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you next week for the playoffs. Take care.
We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's gonna happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. The life we have chosen has prepared us for this. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're gonna save families from disasters and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.